Business Environment of Mexico. Hello, my name is Daniel Reeves. We are Group 5, Section 7. Our group includes Conan Knepp, Margaret State, and me, Daniel Reeves. This presentation includes the current cultural and business environments of Mexico. These summaries will be followed by a presentation of 3 possible products to produce and market in Mexico. I want to start off by thanking you for watching our presentation and hope it will be informative and enlightening.
Cultural dimensions of Mexico. The culture of Mexico is shown in this bar graph called the Hofstede Cultural Dimensions Analysis Tool. Developed by Geert Hofstede, this analysis tool compares cultural differences both within and across cultures. This analysis is comparing Mexico with the United States. You can see from the graph that the most significant differences are reflected in the dimensions of power distance, individualism versus collectivism, and uncertainty avoidance. At a score of 81 for power distance, Mexico is a hierarchical society. People respect authority and an order in which everybody has a place, and it needs no justification. From a business perspective, managers are expected to be decisive and assertive. Rank is important, and those above another must always be treated with respect. The workforce in general expect to be told what to do and will not disrespect their superiors with initiative. With a score of 30, Mexico is considered a collectivistic society. Its culture is group-oriented, conforming to norms and maintaining harmony. Loyalty is paramount. Society fosters strong relationships where everyone takes responsibility for fellow members of the group. Hence, Mexicans prefer to do business with those they know, like, and trust. Mexico has a very high preference for avoiding uncertainty with a high score of 82. As such, they maintain rigid codes of belief and behavior and are very loyal to their traditions. Innovation, new ideas, and change may be met with resistance. To understand the culture further, communication and scheduling are key elements. Communicating. As you can see, placed near the middle of the spectrum, Mexico are either low or high, depending on the situation. Clarification and confirmation is constantly required, as Mexicans often don't say what they mean, or use common phrases that have different meanings. Messages are often implied, but not plainly expressed. For example, "that could be difficult" actually means no. With scheduling, Mexico is more flexible, preferring a sequential approach to completing a task instead of trying to deal with many things all at once. Beware that time management can be so flexible that meetings often start late. However, negotiation teams should always be on time and be adaptable to sudden changes. Negotiation style and strategies. Negotiations generally commence once a lasting and trusting relationship has been built. Establishing productive business cooperation requires a long-term perspective and commitment. Once the negotiations begin, however, Mexicans can be very shrewd and tough negotiators. They are used to hard bargaining and often do a lot of haggling. The bargaining exchange can be extensive and persistent. Throughout the process, remain cool and respectful. Avoid confrontation and frequently reaffirm the relationship. Don't take any of their tactics personally. Various techniques are used, which include deception, pressure, and defensive tactics, such as telling lies, misrepresenting an item's value, refusing to change their view, or time pressure. Refrain from following such tactics, as doing so may damage the business relationship. Instead, focus on how our proposal can add to their satisfaction or heighten their honor. This can be powerful. Lastly, there is a fine line between giving gifts and bribing. What you may consider a bribe, a Mexican may view as only a nice gift. Government and politics. The government structure in Mexico is similar to the United States. It was established from a constitution formed in 1917 and is a federal, presidential, representative democratic republic. Mexico has 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judiciary. Mexico has had unique political stances when establishing business relationships with foreign countries. Due to a focus on military power by the country's president, economic growth had been held back, and in recent years governments have been fueled by corruption and empowered drug cartels. Many businesses are state-owned and have also contributed to corruption and price gouging. The focus by the government is to remove these state-owned businesses and change the market to independent owners and entrepreneurs. In June 2021, a government vote showed a desire to increase and support entrepreneurs and corporations, which will help generate technological and software facilities along with manufacturing facilities. The implications to our business: some regions of the country are cartel controlled, where bribery-promoted operations are common when dealing with suppliers and vendors. The government imposes penalties on any factory involved in these practices. Government departments are slow to deal with regarding permits and licenses. This can lead to grease payments, a form of bribery to speed up the legal process of establishing a new business.
The Economic Freedom Index is a measurement of general jurisdiction, trade, and taxes, and essentially measures its citizens' ability to protect and maintain liberty. It comprises of the following subcategories listed here. Also pictured is the EFI for Mexico as compared to the world average. Overall, the differences in Mexico's Economic Freedom Index compared to world average is relatively small. Tax burden, labor freedom, and monetary freedom are close, while other areas are not drastically different. The most notable differences is with government integrity, which is where Mexico places lower than the world average. Government integrity, according to Heritage.org, centers entirely over government corruption, and so this score is based on that data primarily. Investment freedom is another notable difference, which ranks higher compared to the world average. This indicates that there is little to no constraints or barriers to doing business in Mexico, and is typically a positive return for investors. Free trade agreements and the ability to import and export goods with little taxes makes investment opportunities ideal for foreign companies. As a business environment, Mexico presents itself as a place of opportunity. Its regulatory environment is relatively benign in comparison to established countries. However, it is more advanced than most of its Latin counterparts. This allows it to be more efficient with time, but costs are significantly more in Mexico relative to other countries geographically close. Starting a business in Mexico compared to other Latin countries is much quicker and easier in relative comparisons. On average, it takes around 8 business days to complete the task of starting a business. Procedurally, in Mexico, you must have the name of the business, prepare documentation, and be registered publicly. Mexico ranks faster than average companies, but costs more than comparable countries. The paying of taxes in Mexico consists of 6 payments per year, requiring an allotted time of 241 hours. In comparison to other Latin countries, Mexico has fewer tax payments and requires far less time to do so. Mexico has a higher tax contribution than the rest of Latin America and the average. Mexico, however, in comparison to the average rating, takes longer but requires fewer payments. As with starting a business, the task of contract enforcement in Mexico is also cheaper and easier than its Latin American counterparts. Relative to the average, it is much faster but more expensive. Mexico ranks 8 points behind the United States while being leaps and bounds better compared to its Latin American countries. Court proceedings within Mexico also come with several disadvantages, as one is no division of courts sees solely commercial cases, and electronic case management tools are not readily available. Mexico has 13 free trade agreements with 50 countries. This includes United States, Canada, and countries in the European Union, Japan, Israel, and many Latin American countries. In addition, Mexico has also established bilateral agreements with Colombia, Costa Rica, countries within the European Union, Israel, Panama, Uruguay, as well as with Australia, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. These agreements allow for reduced import and export and help promote economic growth. This also opens integration and commerce with the world economy and opportunities for outside investment. A new venture would benefit with low barriers of trade and reduced costs of goods, both importing and exporting. Foreign direct investment, or FDI, is the act of business establishing a lasting directly controlled business in another country. Mexico is vastly open to FDI in many forms of investment. Due to proximity, Mexico and the United States have a preferential relationship. This relationship also includes Canada regarding the North American Free Trade Agreement. Incentives to attract FDI into Mexico are common. Mexico currently offers land grants, discounts, and tax deductions. Development funding is also offered for innovation, workforce, and technology. Mexico recently has adopted a value-added tax on digital services. Mexico also provides incentives in the form of import tax rebates and uses a promotional tool called IMMEX, which allows companies in the manufacturing sector to import without paying a general import tax and value-added tax. Mexico also offers sectorial promotion programs that allow for preferential ad valorem tariffs on imports of selected inputs. These industries include footwear, mining, chemicals, steel, textiles, apparel, and electronics.
Current economic conditions in Mexico. To measure a company's economic conditions, we use such measuring tools as a gross national income and purchasing power parity measurement. We also use a GDP measurement. In Mexico, between the years of 2016 and 2019, Mexico saw increased levels of economic prosperity. Inflation dropped, GNI and PPP increased, and GDP increased. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen interruptions in supply chains, demand, and in availability of services. This has decreased GNI and PPP while greatly affecting GDP outputs. This effect has turned around inflation that had been decreasing and has caused it to rise along with interest rates. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, Mexico's economic position was promising with upward trends. Mexico is very keen to attract new businesses into the country that may help their economic turnaround. Section 11, Currency. The Mexican peso is the national currency of Mexico and has grown a foothold throughout Latin America. The influence of the United States dollar has on the peso is quite extensive. This is due to NAFTA. NAFTA offers a high level of liquidity between the US and Mexico, with Canada included. During the COVID-19 pandemic, an abrupt loss in value was felt in both currencies. Currently, we see this in 2022 as high inflation threatens to devalue the peso further. Oil stands as the strongest influencer on the Mexican peso. Oil is Mexico's most valuable export. As energy rates rise and fall, so does Mexico's ability to use this product as leverage. Because of the close association between oil and the peso, peso is seen as a barometer for oil prices, and this can be seen in our chart that is attached. Big swings in oil prices can result in large swings in currency value. Our group came up with 3 products to introduce into the Mexican market. Our items include an all-natural shampoo and conditioner, an eco-friendly disposable portable sleep apnea test, and all-natural cleaning wipes. Mexico has strict rules on chemicals that can be imported into the country. This means products that are used for hygiene and cleaning must be made within the country. Because of popularity of beards and increased interest in grooming, as the living standard within Mexico rises, so does its ability to consume hygienic products such as shampoos and conditioners, while the increased standard of living also creates an awareness for the environment. Our second item addresses the need for disposable portable diagnostic home sleep apnea testing. Currently, a device that is disposable and cost-effective does not exist on the market. Patients currently located in rural areas and those who are ethnic tend to be largely underserved. A product that is more cost-effective and disposable would allow these individuals in these underserved areas to be tested without a costly hospital trip or overnight stay. For the last product, all natural wipes address the need created by COVID. For the last couple of years, a concern with availability involving general household products has arisen, with cleaning wipes topping the demand list.